Drug cartel, food banks. The false altruism of Mexican drug cartels. In the wake of natural disasters or during holidays such as Three Kings Day or Mother's Day, there have been reports of organized crime groups delivering gifts to communities in various states across the country. The rain and the rivers swept away everything. Northern Veracruz and various municipalities in Hidalgo, Puebla, Querétaro, and San Luis Potosi are suffering the ravages of a natural disaster that so far has left 66 people unalived and around 75 missing. These are the times that you want to be able to help the people, right? These are the times that you want to be able to be there for the people, especially if the government falls short. But at what cost? If there's a natural disaster in Sinaloa right now, and the war stops, and everybody starts sandbagging together and singing Kumbaya, after the people already been in it's been a disaster there for a year now. Photographs of alleged support, quote unquote support. I didn't quote unquote it. Right here it says that quote unquote support from organized crimes for victims in Poza Rica have begun to circulate on social media. In the face of the tragedy, the federal government has deployed multiple efforts to support the affected communities, while the solidarity of citizens has been evident with multiple collection centers set up both in Mexico City and throughout the country. Little by little, entire communities are seeking to return to normal. However, amid the chaos and despair, an old wolf in sheep's clothing has reappeared: organized crime. In recent days, photographs and videos of alleged members of the CJNG distributing bags of groceries to victims have circulated on social media. According to the recording, the events occurred in Tijuana, Veracruz, an area where they have a great deal of influence, according to a report by AC Consultores leaked by Guacamaya Leaks from the servers of the Ministry of National Defense. Given the vulnerability of the disaster, the video shows residents of the municipality approaching a group of heavily armed civilians distributing clear plastic bags of supplies, emphasizing that they are from the Lord of the Palms and the CJNG. The food parcels also carry a card printed with the acronym. CJNG is merch, it's marketing. After being posted on social media, the video quickly went viral and sparked a controversy that even reached President Ciderbaum. Although the president avoided commenting on the matter, the recording revived that old practice, which many criminal organizations often resort to in the face of natural disasters or holidays, but whose objective goes beyond providing selfless aid. Right? It's not like I'm sacrificing something just to be good to you. But this is the line right here. But whose objective goes beyond providing selfless aid? The narcos gift and food parcels. The interaction between organized crime and the civilian population through gift giving is nothing new. Various reports and journalistic investigations show that the practice has been present since the days of the Guadalajara cartel, whose leaders also helped with the construction of roads, schools, and even churches. You know, that's something to talk to the twins about. Wasn't it said they spend a lot of bread in their community? A lot of people do a lot of things for different reasons. I'm sure the twins knew, hey man, we need the people on our side, of course. That's part of it, right? Do I believe the twins planned on oppressing that town later? No. If it was somebody else, they'd have took advantage of the situation. We seen that those guys are outliers in that sense. They're just trying to get that bread. They want to make some bread. Another dude build a school, build a road. That's my road. Then they said, let me phrase that. I don't know about others, but I don't want no Bartel giving me no food. What you want and what you need at certain points is probably two different things. And if you ain't getting it from nowhere else and they come a knocking, first of all, we're here. That's a different deal. This is Mexico. I don't know how much of the government came through for them. But necessity is necessity, right? Yeah, it definitely you have a ill feeling about it, but you need that loaf of bread and shit. You're gonna get that loaf of bread from whoever got that loaf of bread to give it, even if you gotta take it. From the Sinaloa Bartel to the Brutal Zetas and the Gulf Bartel, the same steps have been followed, which the CJNG is now also following. For example, in December 2024, during a public event in Coalcomán, Michoacán, a group of people publicly thanked the leader of the so-called four-letter Bartel, Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, also known as El Mencho, and a man nicknamed Commander Delta One, for a series of gifts delivered to the community on Christmas Eve. A year earlier, in November 2023, after Hurricane Otis devastated the coast of Guerrero, residents of the affected areas also received food supplies from criminal groups whose members arrived in the communities masked and heavily armed, as described by journalist Oscar Valderas in a report for Milenio. The same year, Tropical Storm Norma left damage in various areas of Sinaloa where food supplies arrived signed with the initials JGL belonging to Joaquin Guzman Loera, alias El Pocha, founded the Sinaloa Bartel. According to reports by journalist Ruben Maso for Milenio, on May 10, 2020, the CJNG delivered household appliances as Mother's Day gifts to the women of Tototlan, Jalisco, in addition to food to working class neighborhoods. Little Mother's Day gift, we was doing good. In a world where your data is the product, best move is to disappear. That's why I use NordVPN. Military-grade encryption, blazing fast servers, and access to content blocked in my region. Whether you're streaming, working, or just browsing, NordVPN makes sure that you're anonymous and safe. Go to nordvpn.com/ILL or click the link in the description for huge discounts. Lock your privacy in before someone locks you out. Holidays such as Children's Day and Three Kings Day have also been exploited by both the four-letter Bartel and the feared Ociel Caldenas Guillén to distribute toys for the most vulnerable children in the communities where they operate. The distribution of food, supplies, and medical supplies by criminal groups during the Coronita pandemic was reported in at least 10 states, demonstrating how even in times of adversity, their interests come first. On the definition of altruism, selfless concern, selfless concern for the well-being of others without care for one's own interests, unselfishness. What lies behind false altruism? Food parcels bearing the image of El Pocha are being delivered during the Coronita. We continue to have problems with terminations, and they haven't calmed down even because of the Coronita situation. Don't come now and say we're handing out food supplies. Better tone it down, declared former President Andrés Manuel López Obrador when questioned about the support that criminal organizations distributed during the pandemic. So, AKA the president shit on that whole idea and was like, man.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
But he worked for them, so I don't know how that, or supposedly, allegedly worked for him. With this statement, the former Tabasco president captured the dual nature of organized crime in Mexico, which, while sowing violence in various states and municipalities, attempts to present itself as a benefactor to the civilian population during emergencies or holidays. An article published in the Journal of Social Sciences and Humanities of the Autonomous University of Chiapas explains that the delivery of food supplies or gifts to communities by criminal organizations is a practice used to gain social approval. If a portion of the profits generated by crime are used to alleviate the poverty experienced by many of the communities where they operate, criminal activity lessens its harmful significance in the eyes of that community and provides legitimacy to the extent that it can provide services and functions traditionally associated with the state, explains article by researchers Jesus Alberto López González and Mauricio Lascurain Fernández. In this way, narco food stores have become part of a dynamic of organized crime that, according to Isaac Enrique Perez, PhD in International Economics and Development, seeks to establish and normalize a concept and way of life in which certain sectors of society view illicit operations and activities with favor. They want everybody to like that shit and be like, "This is Sparta!" Don't worry about it, you know what I mean? Just run me that loaf of bread and forget about the rest. You know what I mean? Gaining approval among communities is just one of the steps criminal organizations follow in their drive to delimit and appropriate territories. It is, in essence, a relevant component of their power and their strategies of domination and even of their struggles against rival criminal groups. Territory is the basis for criminal organizations to impose their own norms and standards of power. Through it, they aspire to resemble a state while seeking and often succeeding to undermine and usurp the functions of public powers and institutions. They want to take place of that DCFS or that, you know, whoever's supposed to be handing out the food to the people. They want to be in charge of that shit. Once you're in charge of that, unfortunately, just like our government, you got the power to starve us out. Is this an example of quiet extortion? Here we share unique images that have been fostered during the Coronita contingency. Right? Boom, look. Got Poacher's face on the box. Look, on the mask. Come on, man. Branding. Branding everywhere. Huh? In an interview with Milenio, the researcher at the UNAM Institute for Social Research explained that the occupation of territory by criminal organizations leaves its inhabitants in a status more like that of hostages, who are sold the idea that they are protecting them. I'm going to sell them the idea because they're going to have no choice but to do what I want to do. That is, to replace the work of the state by extracting taxes. In other words, vile extortion. It'll depend on the strength of the criminal organization to impose the rules of the game and also on the competition with another criminal organization. In other words, I'm protecting you from the danger I represent, but also from the danger posed by others. It's vile extortion. And that's my point. Give me the turkey, but now, do I have to pay you back because now you're taxing me? Now I got to come with, give you the tithes, the 10% of my check or some shit. That's two different things. That's, two different ends. The criminal dynamics and the way in which criminal organizations have taken root in various municipalities in Mexico reveal what lies behind the aid and gifts they distribute to the civilian population. While they may alleviate adversity, their true cost is always high. Well, we can factually say there's no altruism there. If it was selfless, there'd be no name on the package. There'd be no name on the clothing of the people that gave it. Shit would just arrive, unsaid, untalked about, and that's it. But I think it's different than, a dealer from the neighborhood that's, his business is with the custies. He sells dope to the custies, and he wants to spread the love when it comes holiday season and hand out turkeys. Maybe I'm picking and choosing, but I think this is a pick and choose type of scenario because they're not taxing the person that they, they're not taxing the person that they gave that turkey to. These guys are taxing these people with their lives, taking their children and putting them in the military, their military. I just think Mexico's in a bad place, man. Not geographically. But in a time of tragedy, when the water's up to your neck and your baby's about to be hungry, you're going to take that bag right there with all that logo on it. And that's how they create narco states. Y'all let me know in the comments, is this quiet extortion Or is this altruism? People selflessly helping the community.